Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Smurfs. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. Okay, Smurfs. You got the brand, which has been around since, I'm going to say the 60s, but I'm not confident in that. I need to look it up off screen real quick. This will only take literally a few seconds. Smurfs. What's the year? 1958. Well, I was close. But yeah, this Smurfs has been around for over half a century. And it's, had some movies that have come out in the 21st century. You probably heard of them. So, yeah, these things. First, we got to talk about The Smurfs from 2011. This came out at a time where live action CGI hybrids of like classic, anime properties were like a thing. Stuff like Alvin the Chipmunks and Garfield and Yogi Bear and Fat Albert and Scooby Doo. It was a real fad at that time, and Smurfs was a part of that fad. And like a lot of movies of that fad, it made money. Like this movie did very well for itself financially. It made 142 million domestically, so it did well there. But internationally, it really popped off. Ended up making 563 million worldwide. This was one of the biggest movies of 2011. You think I'm joking? You think I'm bullshitting? No, that is a fact. I think it's the ninth biggest movie of 2011. So, yeah, people watch this thing when they probably should have watched something else. Something better. But I guess the Smurfs just had their appeal, which resulted in a sequel in 2013, The Smurfs 2, which, even though technically made money, there was a big drop off in terms of box office. Same applies to the one that came out after that, Smurfs Lost Village, but none of them were real bombs. None of them were like mega flops. But I will talk about more about Smurfs 2 and Lost Village when we get to the cons, because talking about them is a bit more negative in comparison to that first Smurfs movie. But so the Smurfs, they're easily recognizable, with like the character designs, how they use Smurf in like everything. It's like how Mr. Freeze used ice puns and Batman and Robin. Like Smurfs do the same thing with just using Smurf in every sentence they can come up with. It's just to the point where it's very annoying after a while. But yeah, Smurfs as a brand, I will label that as a pro. Another pro, well, there's no direct competition for this movie when it comes to like family kid. This isn't a family movie. This is a straight up kids movie. It's a kids movie in like the worst way imaginable, where it's only for like kids that are like 7 or younger and nobody else. So if you're a parent watching this, you're either escaped before the movie started, or you're just gonna sit there and just begging for death the whole time. I feel like it's one of those two scenarios is gonna play out for any parent who's forced to watch this. But yeah, when it comes to, I guess, kid-centric movies, there's really nothing out right now. I mean, Ilio, that movie died. It died the moment it released. And then How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch live-action movies, those are old as hell. They've ran their course. Well, I should mention, Lilo and Stitch became the first Hollywood movie this year to make $1 billion. Yeah. Did not expect that in the slightest. Not even a little. But that's what's happened. So yeah, I felt like I had to mention that. I mean, since we're talking about blue characters, why not talk about Lilo and Stitch? So, bring that up. But anywho, yeah, there won't be another kid-centric like family movie until Bad Guys 2, and that's not till early August. So this movie has 2 weeks to play out. So, and that could, but I guess that would be a pro. But the immediate con is that in 2 weeks' time, Bad Guys 2 is going to take whatever audience this movie has, which is not going to be a big audience, but it's still going to hurt this movie severely. So that's a automatic con right there. But let's just get to all the other cons because there's quite a lot there. So, reviews for this movie are ass. They are horrible. Some of the worst I've seen in a minute. Like, it has a 22% critic score, which is, there's no way to sugarcoat that. But you know what's sad? Is that this isn't even like unusual for these Smurfs movies. Like, none of the Smurfs movies are considered good movies. I mean, the best one is Smurfs Lost Village, and that only got like a 41%. All the others, Smurfs 2011, that's 21%. Smurfs 2, 14%. So in terms of quality, it's the second best. And when the best is 41%, what does that say? So, yeah. So reviews are really bad. Audience score is quite damning. It's a 64%. That is lower than Eddington, a movie that's pretty much designed to be divisive as hell. And yet, the fact that this movie's audience score is worse than that, that's shocking. That is actually shocking. Its cinema score is better. It's a B plus, which is below average compared to what the usual, kids movie gets. Because kids movies, they have a pretty easy time on cinema score, but this one not so much. But so that audience score is just rough. And I actually want to look into the ratings. What's the vibe? What are people saying? Half star. What a load of Smurf. That sounds about right. No, God, someone was passionate. They wrote a whole paragraph. Oh, blah blah blah. Oh, we got a half star. Yeah, this was one of the worst movies I've seen in a while. My 6 year old seemed to enjoy it, but as a parent, I found it to be very poorly done. That right there is basically going to be every parent's experience with this movie. Like that right there. 1.5 stars. Music was fun. That was about it. Um, half stars. I still don't know what the plot was. It was all over the place. There was a scene where Turtle said something that was obviously supposed to be a laugh line, and not a single person in the theater laughed. So it was basically just an hour and a half of that. That sounds like torture. Oh, I got a 2.5 star. Rihanna's acting kind of bad. Oh. Did you know? Did you know that in this movie, Smurfette is voiced by Rihanna? Did you know that? I mean, how can anyone know that? I mean, it's not like it's on every piece of fucking advertising with this movie. That's something I want to mention right now. It is something that is unavoidable. It's something other people have noticed and have talked about. It's the fact that Rihanna is Smurfette is on all the goddamn marketing. Like, for the teaser poster, I can understand that. But for other posters, like, why? Why? It's like it's the only thing they have, like, to sell the movie. Like, they think Rihanna, like, is Smurfette is gonna sell all the movie tickets. Like, I don't think I've ever seen an animated movie emphasize like one person being the voice of something like this much and this hard. I can't recall. They didn't even do this with Katy Perry in those live action Smurfs movies. That was like the peak of her career too, and they didn't do that. But here, I mean, maybe this would have been a big deal like 10 years ago, but Rihanna isn't like quite on the same level of popularity as she once was. And in terms of like other animated movies, I mean, it'd be like if, say, the Super Mario Brothers movie, on every piece of advertising, they're like, Chris Pratt is Mario, like front and center. But they never did. And when they mentioned like the cast, it's like all of the cast, not just Chris Pratt. And another example would just be like if, say, Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, they're just like, on all the advertising. Jackie Chan is Splinter or Ice Cube is Superfly. No, no. I mean, they did make posters for that, but it wasn't like heavily emphasized like this. Like it's absurd. Like not even like in Moana, like Dwayne Johnson as Maui. You think Disney would have done that, but they didn't. They had they had restraint. Paramount here had no restraint whatsoever. And it's probably because Rihanna, she's not just like a random voice in the movie. She actually is a producer for this thing. Why she wanted to be involved in a Smurfs movie, I'll never know. But yeah, that's why she's so heavily, they emphasize her so much in the marketing. And it's very weird and it's very annoying. So I had to mention that. That's something that I could not ignore. But anywho, going back to this review, this 2.5 star review says Rihanna's acting kind of bad, could be more exciting, song choices fire, casting kind of bad, plot good but a bit confusing. Yeah, Rihanna's voice acting being bad, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, acting's not really her strong suit. I've seen her in Battleship, so I know that. 1 star. They destroyed the Smurfs as if the Smurfs weren't destroyed already. Okay. Oh, we got 5 stars. It says I love the Smurfs. All caps, no spaces. So we got a big Smurf fan here. Oh my god, another paragraph of a review. Okay, we got another 5 stars. It says, if you love the Smurfs and grew up with them, you will truly enjoy this movie and some of the adult humor. It's great for old fans as well as young and new Smurf fans. Why is it worded like this was written by a bot? It feels like it was written by a bot. I don't think this was written by a real person. I mean, literally their name is Smurf87, so I think that's a dead giveaway. Let's see. Let's see. Blah blah blah. There's a 5 star. So I just love those little lovable blue Smurfs. Okay. Okay, another 1.5 stars. It says Smurfs is a film that will make you feel blue in a bad way. That's in parentheses. The story is so bland with all of its low humor and pop culture references. The animation is subpar. Some characters don't have development or no purpose, and some of the songs are not great. I really don't know who this film is targeting to, but I might say that maybe Rihanna fans and Smurf fans might enjoy, but for others, maybe not. And you know what? The last review I'm gonna read. This is a whole paragraph. Get ready. This is the Captain C over here, 1/2 star. He did not like this movie. Says the Smurfs movie is a creatively bankrupt project that reeks of corporate interference and uninspired decision making and plays like the result of too many producers with no vision, each pulling in different directions, smothering any chance for originality or heart. It's overloaded with asterisk, desperate commercial pandering, tone-deaf writing, assembly line animation that lacks soul or artistry. The producing team, that's in quotations, behind this should serve as a cautionary tale in the animation industry, proof that when production, also in parentheses, leadership prioritizes brand exploitation over storytelling, the result is an embarrassing, tone-deaf mess that damages reputations and undermines the craft of animation. In short, it's a big pile of blue shit. And I think we're gonna end those reviews. I think that's a good place to stop with those. But yeah, people don't like this movie. People straight up hate this thing. I've seen thumbnails for videos. People are just saying, like, one of them's from a YouTuber. Like, I've watched some of his videos. Cartoon She, I think I'm saying his name right. And we called it like it's a cry for help. Yeah, so yeah, people are viewing this movie as kind of like an affront to God. Just like, bro, why are you doing this to us? Why do we gotta suffer? Like, why you gotta release this? So yeah, word of mouth is awful, straight up. There's no sugarcoating that. So that's an automatic con right there. Another con is the fact that these Smurfs movies, each one has done worse than the last, box office wise. So yeah, Smurfs. We start with Smurfs, first one, made a lot of money, right? Then we move on to Smurfs 2. And you think, oh, a bunch of people watched the first one, so a bunch of people are gonna watch the second one automatically. This is where the danger of making a sequel to a bad movie comes in. There is a high chance that people who were burned by the first movie, they're not gonna show up for the second. This has happened multiple times in history, and this was another example of that. Because domestically, there was a big dip. Only made 71 million compared to the originals, like 143. Yeah, 140 to 142. I mean, it did better internationally. It made 348 million, but still, that's a noticeable dip, and it resulted in the third live-action Smurfs movie getting canned, and it got replaced with Smurfs: The Lost Village, which was wholly animated, no live action in sight. And you think, okay, this is it. They're finally gonna get this right. It's not gonna be cringe. We're gonna get a good Smurfs movie, and well, you didn't really get that, but you got the closest thing to a good one, I guess. It's not on the same level of shit as the live action ones, so there's that at least. But this one did even worse than Smurfs 2. Only made 45 million domestically and 197 million worldwide. Even though it was made on a budget of 60 million, still there is a very noticeable dip. So that does not bode well for this new Smurfs movie. So yeah, the box office deterioration of the Smurfs movies, I will label that as a con. Another con is the fact that, basically this movie is getting sandwiched in between two big superhero blockbusters with Superman and the next week with Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four, that movie is projected to open with like 100+ million, and that usually results in a lot of other movies struggling and dying as a result. I don't think Smurfs is gonna get crushed, but I feel like there will be somewhat of a negative effect. There'll definitely be a huge negative effect once Bad Guys 2 comes out. I mean, that Smurfs, it'll be dead by that point. But yeah, just big blockbuster next weekend plus direct competition the week after. Those two things combined, that's a con. Um, any other cons? Really? I mentioned all the main ones: the quality of the movie, the decline in box office for the Smurfs movies. Um, I guess well, let me tell you like, my experience with this movie. Did I watch this movie? Oh God, no. I'm not putting myself through that torture. No, never. I would never do that. But against my will, I watched trailers for this movie in front of other movies. And let me tell you, when I watched those trailers, man, my head was down. My eyes were on my phone the whole time. I was just begging for that trailer to go by as fast as possible. And when I hear shit like, "Oh, I just smurfed my pants," it made me die. It made me want to die. Like seriously, it was that painful. And plus, I saw like some posters for this movie. It does that thing I really hate, where there's a bunch of character posters and all of them just really, really, really bad puns that just make me want to stab my eyes. Like it's so terrible. It's just, ugh. I mean, you got James Corden Smurf, like Blue Kid on the Block, and then you got Rihanna as Smurfette. If you didn't know that already, um, if it says blonde hair, don't care. That's the tip of the iceberg, though. And what else? I know there's like Other ones, Nick Offerman's Smurf is it Ken. Love that Kenergy. I'm like, wow, you're 2 years late to the party when it comes to Ken, from the Barbie movie. And it's just terrible. I'm trying to find more. This one, like Kurt Russell's Ron says Short King, which I mean, all the Smurfs are tiny, so it doesn't really make you special. They got Marshmallow. This movie has a weird voice cast, I should add. I mean, you have Rihanna, you have James Corden, two people that obviously will automatically make a movie great. Yeah, okay. But you have like other legit names here. You got John Goodman, you got Nick Offerman, you got Kurt Russell in here, Octavia Spencer. I'm just like, well, this is clearly just done for a payday. Very easy payday. And yeah, and I should mention influencer Smurf. Yeah, and I should mention an influencer Smurf. Influencer Smurf was in like the first trailer for it, and people were just like, "Oh God, here we go." A character like that, and like, that Smurf basically disappeared from marketing, and apparently, because I'm trying to find it, is no. Apparently, influencer Smurf is not here. He was just erased. Probably apparently because the internet bullied him too much, and then they just cut him from the movie. So yeah, I don't know if it was just for the trailer, but or if he was actually supposed to be in the movie, and then the reaction was so bad they just said, "Nah, we're just cutting you out. We're just gonna erase you." But yeah, I wanted to mention influencer Smurf. R.I.P. him. But yeah, I think that's it with Smurfs. So opening weekend, this is projected to hit $12 million, which is worse than what Smurfs Lost Village opened with. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with 12 million. Its final total will probably be like 40 million max, maybe less. And that's it. I mean this movie, it's not expensive, but it's not really cheap either. So this thing needs to rely on international box office to save its ass. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's it for the Smurfs. Yeah. That was July 18th, a weekend to just stay home pretty much. Now next week is going to be different though. We got Fantastic Four First Steps. Now the MCU has struggled this year. The previous two movies, Brave New World and Thunderbolts, neither which did great theatrically. I feel like this one's going to be different because this movie has a freshness to it, even though this is like the fourth time these characters have been adapted in film. But Fantastic Four, it's the first Fantastic Four in the MCU. People wanted that for so long, and now we're getting it. And it's not really directly connected with anything else. It's kind of like in its own bubble, at least until, we find out they're going to be in Avengers Doomsday. But with First Steps, I'm actually kind of excited about it. I mean, it won't take much for it to be the best Fantastic Four movie because since the bar is so low. But yeah, it'll be interesting to talk about it. And then apparently House of Eaton's coming out too, I guess. Nobody cares about that. I know I don't. And that'll be it for July. So, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made on the channel for this year, the past few years. You want to watch any of them, go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I covered the Smurfs movie twice. Yes, twice. No, once. Was it? Apparently it was just once. Oh, well, I was mistaken. One time. It was episode 147. Talked about alongside, what do you know? Another blue character, Sonic, particularly Sonic 3. Talked about Sonic 3 alongside the new Smurfs movie. And you know what's really funny? That, Sony originally, made those Smurfs movies, like those original three Smurfs movies. Thing is, Paramount was supposed to make the Smurfs movie first, but then they said nah, and then Sony got it. And then with Sonic, Sony was supposed to make that first, then they said nah, and then Paramount picked it up. So yeah, a bit of a switcheroo going on there that I should add. Both, being about blue characters, I find it coincidental and funny. So I wanted to mention that. But yeah, if you want to watch that episode of Canceled or any other ones I've made, there's 250 of them. So you want to binge watch that whole series from beginning to end. I highly suggest you do that. So go do it. And oh yeah, there's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just did my June recap on the channel very recently. July recap that'll come out the second weekend of August. That might be one of the this might probably be one of the shortest recap videos I'll ever do because there wasn't like a overabundance of movies that came out in July, which is good for me. So yeah, but stay tuned for that video. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.